Welcome to the Becks, a podcast that explores multimedia horror with hosts Becky and Sydney. Join us as we talk about movies, books, video games, music, and much, much more.
Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sydney Rebecca.
And I'm Rebecca Snow.
And we're the Becks.
And we're back together because she's here and healthy, and so am I. Yay!
Becks are back. All right!
Becks are back. Back again.
Yes, he's back. Tell a friend.
Like 500 friends.
Yes.
At least.
So, God, I feel like it's been
It's been a month.
It's been a long time.
Because we recorded right before Christmas.
Yeah.
And that was our last time that we were together in the recording room.
And then so much shit happened. It was stupid. But we're back. The Becks are back.
Back again. Here we go. Again.
We're going to just go on a loop here.
And we're tired. We were going to record last night. Tuesday night, because tomorrow, Thursday, when this will be uploaded, I am having a dental procedure, and I don't do well with them. So we didn't think we'd be able to record.
I know we won't be able to.
Yeah, we won't be. I may not even be at work the next day, but I have a meeting, so I will be. But as we were walking out the door from my work yesterday, Keegan, you all know Keegan, calls me and says, "Hey, Ma, fucked up." I'm like, oh no, what's wrong? He was at work and he had sliced his hand wide open. And so Sydney and I took him to the ER and he got 6 stitches. So everybody wish Keegan a, good recovery there, because he's a chef and it's really hard to cook when your dominant hand has got an inch-long slice in your index finger. So
it's pretty gross.
It was pretty gross. It was pretty bloody everywhere, but he's good now. So, yeah. So now we're recording tonight. Yay.
And we're finally talking about the yellow wallpaper.
So the reason we did the yellow wallpaper is I wanted to do something different, a short story written by a woman. So I just think I did like award-winning short stories written forever ago. And it came up with the yellow wallpaper, and I saw it was written by a woman, and I thought, well, that would be super cool. So we decided we'd do it.
This is a very creepy story, I will say. Especially, like, towards the end, you do kind of get the heebie-jeebies. Uh-huh. And it's not necessarily because of, like, supernatural happenings or anything like that. It's her going mad. Yeah.
Literally, her mental health is completely declining, and you're getting it from her perspective.
Yeah. It's like it's written like a diary, because she can't talk about it with anybody. Yeah. So her husband is a doctor. Okay. And he tells her that she just overworked herself and that she needs rest.
So they rent this mansion in the country, giant home, tons of bedrooms. But the bedroom he picks is apparently what used to be a nursery. Mm-hmm. It's very large. It's very open. Lots of windows that can see out across the yard and this and that. But the wallpaper in it is a yellow.
A yellow that she really dislikes.
Yes. And she can see that there's been strips like torn off the walls at times. And she doesn't really know why. And it annoys her that that's like that too. And it kind of starts like that. How lucky they are to have this mansion to stay in, to be able to be there and enjoy this. But yes, her husband and her brother, right? He's a doctor as well. Mm-hmm. They tell her that she just needs to rest and not do anything, and she's not allowed to work, and she's pretty much just confined to this room.
Yeah. And it's important to note she had just had a baby. And
they had a nanny, obviously, that was taking care of the baby.
Yeah.
Her name was...
I thought it was funny because she doesn't talk about the baby much.
No.
It's very... I mean, it's purposeful. I know that. She's very detached emotionally from the baby. And it was evident for me almost immediately without even knowing anything. I had seen this mentioned when people talked about, like, scary short stories or whatever before. So I knew a little bit about it. But it was obvious from reading it, like, almost right away. I'm like, oh, she has postpartum. And, of course, this is in a time when that wasn't a thing.
Exactly.
Women's mental health was never a thing. I mean, hell, mental health in general wasn't a thing, but especially not women's mental health.
Exactly. If you were showing any signs of being mentally ill, you were usually shipped off and hidden in an asylum somewhere where you were abused and tortured.
Yeah.
It's just how it went. Or they'd kill you and get rid of you because you were an embarrassment to the family. So, haha, bye-bye. So, yeah. So she's, she's upset that she's not in a prettier room where the rose garden is. And he's having none of that because he wants her in this big giant room where they can have lots of room. And he can sleep in the room with her where there's 2 beds because, husband and wives a lot of time didn't sleep in the same bed together.
That is so weird.
And it still happens to this day. There's a lot of couples that don't share a bed.
I guess I can understand that. And me and James have to have separate blankets, so I guess it's not too much of a stretch to be like, okay, we can't be unconscious next to each other because...
Vince and I were like that. We had to have separate blankets, always. But Roger and I always share a blanket and a sheet. Now, he will hog the bed sometimes, and he likes to touch me when he goes to sleep, and I want to punch him in his face a lot of times. I don't want to be touched. And that's his love language. I need to touch you to fall asleep. I'll kill you. Don't touch me. So, so she's in this room. She's spending a lot of time in this room.
Yeah, I found a couple of quotes. This is one of the times where she's talking about the wallpaper. She says, I never saw a worse paper in my life. One of those sprawling, flamboyant patterns committing every artistic sin.
Yeah. She's very descriptive.
Yeah, she's a writer. That's what she does.
Yeah.
And her husband is such a dick.
And so's her brother. They're both of high standing in the medical field. And
allegedly.
Yeah. So they put her on medications, which she doesn't really want to be on. Mm-hmm. And they tell her she can't work, which, her quote about that was, personally, I disagree with their ideas. Personally, I believe that congenial work with excitement and change would do me good. But what is one to do? And so she is being controlled by her husband and her brother.
Yeah, and the thing is that, like, her husband and her brother repeatedly tell her that it's basically all in her head and it's not that serious. She said, one of the quotes that I saved too was, I am glad my case is not serious, but these nervous troubles are dreadfully depressing. John does not know how much I really suffer. He knows there is no reason to suffer, and that satisfies him.
Yeah. Isn't that awful?
This is, like, this whole short story, you read it, like, as a woman... You understand it intrinsically, and it fucking pisses you off.
Yeah. Yep.
Because this kind of sent me down this fucking rabbit hole about how every health condition that exists that men and women can get, there's basically no data on this, whatever the health condition is, for women. It's all of the research studies are men.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yep. And they don't, postpartum depression is just something that started to come around and be looked at seriously in the last probably 20 years, maybe. I don't remember even after Jacob, who's 28, going to be 28 here soon, where they even mentioned it. And I know I went through some of it. It was hard. I mean, I was ecstatic to be a mom, and Jacob and I bonded immediately. But I liked this part where she's talking and she says, hold on, I gotta find it here. Nobody would believe what an effort it is to do what little I am able, to dress and entertain and order things. It is fortunate Mary is so good with the baby, such a dear baby, and yet I cannot be with him. It makes me so nervous. Mm-hmm. And how awful for her. She knows that this baby is amazing, But she knows she cannot be around the baby.
Yeah. She talks repeatedly about how John laughs at her. He dismisses her. And she even talks about, at one point, she's like, this diary is basically the only way I'm able to talk about it. But now it's like the effort to even write it down is getting to be too much. Like, before she was feeling relief because she was able to get her thoughts out on her diary, which she had to hide that she was even fucking recording her thoughts in a diary.
Yeah, he didn't want her doing anything. She wasn't allowed to be a human.
Yeah.
I mean, really. He was just... And the one part that he tells her if she gets better, they can have the cousins down for a visit. But he told her he would as soon put fireworks in her pillowcase as to let her have those stimulating people around. Which is what she needs. She's depressed. She needs someone to stimulate her, to get her out of that depression, to help her.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, we're going to shut you away in a room with atrocious wallpaper and hope you just, do as we say.
And this is the thing, too, is like, ultimately, while the story is called The Yellow Wallpaper, the story is not about the wallpaper. Like, that is not...
No, the wallpaper feeds into her path into insanity, where she actually just loses her mind because she fixates on it.
Yeah.
It's a fixation. And if any of you have ever dealt with any mental health, which we have, you fixate on things. I mean, that's a huge thing a lot of times in mental illness. You fixate.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it can make things really bad depending on what you fixate on.
Yeah, because, I mean, it can be good things, right? Like, you can hyperfixate on stuff that you love.
Yes.
But when it comes to having that, like, almost addictive personality and you fixate on it so much and you just you're obsessive about it, like that... Even if it's everything in moderation. But when you have that issue, you can't control yourself. And again, she's alone for hours and hours and hours. And her husband will just laugh at her and ignore her. Same thing with her brother. The only person she sees besides her husband is the nanny. But the nanny has her baby. And she doesn't like being around her baby. So she has nothing besides that empty room and that yellow wallpaper.
Yep.
And it really is chilling. Like, she starts to see images in the wallpaper and she starts to imagine people in the wallpaper, specifically women, I will say.
Yes.
Moving in the wallpaper, especially after dark.
Yes.
And it gets to the point where she doesn't just see women in the wallpaper. She sees them in the rose garden.
Yes.
Creeping and crawling around. Yeah.
And this is where it becomes disturbing.
Yeah.
Because the way she talks about them creeping, and she starts to get very angry with her husband.
Valid.
And she starts to get angry with the caretaker of the baby. And she's frustrated. Mm-hmm. And I believe Jenny, the one that takes care of the baby, is John's sister. So she is surrounded by people that are controlling her. Even the sister, she's doing what her brother tells her to do, so she's keeping her trapped in there too. And so she's starting to resent them, which, as anybody would, you're not helping me, you're hindering me, and you're not making me better. I'm losing my mind. You don't put a person that's mentally ill all alone. That's not good.
It's one of those things where I think it was when we were talking about The Haunting of Hill House. Do you remember when they were in rehab and they were talking about how, like, an addict's, like, it's really a bad idea for an addict to be alone because they're, like, the worst company or something like that. I'm butchering the fucking quote, but it's the same concept, right? It's, you just, she's alone with her thoughts, and her thoughts are evil and sad.
Yes.
You know, like, it's just, she has a mental breakdown. It was really sad. I think that's the thing that bothered me the most about this, is like, it did really get disturbing at the end, but mostly I was just heartsick. Yeah. Because even though it's a piece of fiction, this happens to women every day, and it happened for many years, and it's still happening,
which is ridiculous. It shouldn't be. You still have mothers that murder their children because of postpartum. Not that I'm giving anyone an excuse to murder your child, but there's cases out there of women that they knew were mentally ill that they just left with their children because they thought, oh, they'll be all right. People, they won't be all right. And it's not their fault. They are sick, and their delusions overtake them. And as horrendous as it is to see a child die that way, that mother has to live with that for the rest of her life when she gets the help that she should have got to begin with. Yeah. And it scares me to death for many, many women.
There's a documentary on HBO right now. I can't remember what it's called. But it's about this guy it's about this married couple where the woman was told by the doctor, like, hey, if you have another kid, it's going to be really bad.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be able to handle it. But her husband was one of those quiver-full fucking pieces of shit, and was like, oh, if her getting pregnant is just like, oh, she'll just get a little bit sick, like, it's worth it. Because God says that we're supposed to have 1 billion children or whatever. And she, I'm pretty sure, was the one who drowned all our kids in the bathtub. It was super famous.
No, I did see that on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Andrea Yates?
I think so.
Her 5 children.
Like, she did not want to have any more kids. And her husband forced her to have another kid. And then months down the line, guess what happened?
And they knew she was mentally ill. She had been in treatment, and he left her alone with the babies. And so did her in-laws, who knew she was ill.
Yep.
They
were all in a cult.
Yes.
It was culty as fuck.
It was. I haven't watched that, but I really paid attention to that whole thing. That's why he stood up and was like, I'm going to stand by her. Yeah, because you caused this. I've said over and over, when Vince was alive, I've said it to Roger, they knew she was ill, and they put all that pressure on her and left her alone with all those children. And her 7-year-old, because when Jacob was 7 years old, he had an eye infection. I had to put drops in him, and I had to chase him around the house and hold him down by literally straddling his shoulders, sitting on top of his chest to get the eye drops in. 7-year-olds fight. And she had to fight her 7-year-old. She said he fought. And that it broke me. Like, I cried when this happened. And she should not, I'm going to have to watch that, 'cause she should never have been left alone.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is, like, that guy, he acts like a victim in all the interviews, and like, oh, who could have known this could have happened? You motherfucker.
He knew.
The signs were all there.
They said all the time that she had been sick, and it had been getting worse with every child.
He's a piece of shit.
And she literally thought her children, that's what she had to do to save them.
Yeah.
Because Satan was going to get them, so she had to save them.
Yeah.
And she wrapped them in white sheets and laid them all out. It's not like she was slaughtering them and just, throwing them away like we've seen some other parents do.
Yeah.
There was love there. She just was too messed up.
And that's recent history is basically like my point in bringing all that
exactly.
up.
Sorry, that one just sets me right
No,
off.
it's fucking so terrible. Angry. And that's like all I could think when I was reading this, because it's like, and what happens in this story is way less terrible, I guess. It's all terrible.
Yeah.
But, she didn't kill her baby in this story, right?
No.
So, no. But...
And she, in fact, even says she's glad that they ended up in this room towards the end when she's really starting to lose it. She's glad they ended up in this room because how awful for the baby to have to be exposed to all of that.
Yeah.
So... she, again, a mother that cares, but a mother that's mentally ill. Postpartum depression is vicious if it's not treated. Vicious.
Yeah. She starts, towards the end, she starts crawling around on all fours, creeping, as she's referenced previously in the story, and
she says all the women are creeping in the wallpaper, and then she decides she's going to save the one.
Yeah.
So she tears all the wallpaper off the walls. That's so creepy.
It's very unsettling.
Yeah.
And
she talks about how she saw one of the women creeping in broad daylight, and that's just unheard of. A proper woman doesn't creep in the daylight. You save it for the night. And so I was like, oh no. And I did the audio book. I did read most of it too, because it's super short. It's a very short story, but I did the audio book too. 40 pages
on your phone. Yeah.
But yeah, so she starts creeping, and is convinced that she is the woman that was in the wallpaper. She got free.
Yeah. Because it's like, she felt liberated at the end, which was also really sad, because it's like her mind literally broke. And that, because it was the only freedom that her mind could get at that point. It just, her psyche shattered. And that's another aspect of it. It's like, okay, really unsettling, creepy, whatever, but also just devastatingly sad.
Yeah. It's a very disturbing story. There's so much more to it. You really have to read it to appreciate, and I don't want to give all of it away because it's worth a read, or even an audio listen. It's super short, it's super quick. I've listened to it 2 or 3 times just to appreciate all that's in there, because every time I do, there's something new. It's very well written. It won all sorts of awards.
So it came out in the late 1800s, and the author, she wrote a bunch of other stuff too, and actually this author is not a good person.
Which is astonishing, because everything you read at first tells you that she is a feminist. She is all about women's equality, and when you read the story, you're like, wow, she's really putting this out there.
Yeah.
This is an amazing story for that time.
Yeah.
She is going for, hey, women should be, appreciated, and their mental health should be put out there to be aware, and they should have equality. And then Sydney finds this.
Yeah, so I was wanting to just look into, like, oh, why would she write this? Stuff like that. And instead I found, like, this whole controversy around her because she was apparently a huge advocate for eugenics. That's right.
Yeah.
Selective breeding, master race.
Which makes no sense.
So this is the thing, though, is if you're in any kind of space where feminism is a topic, there is a brand of feminism, and I'm sure you've heard this term, called white feminism. Okay? And this was peak. It was the beginning of white feminism. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, there's lots of, like, with anything, there's lots of nuance and stuff like that. But the thing is when it came to, like, women's suffrage and women's rights and feminism and all that stuff, it was always about white women. It was always about white women, okay? So I'm not totally shocked, but it just frustrates me that these people are like, yeah, the way that, like, this aspect of, a minority is being treated, in this case women, white women, is horrible. No one should be treated like they're less than human, that they're only good for one thing, blah, 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 etc. And then they're like, oh, but black people are real people.
It's insane. Just insane.
It drives me crazy. There's this article that I found called Race, Pseudoscience, and the Yellow Wallpaper. It came out 2 years ago. This is one of the top results when I was looking up stuff about the yellow wallpaper. And she she did, like, nonfiction works, this author did, and she did lectures. And a lot of it was about how she would challenge the fact that, you know, there's, like, female weakness is not a thing, and how it's, like, perpetuated in medicine and how they're treated. And she wanted to advocate for structural changes and was all about empowerment or whatever. But then also, she spread ideologies that promoted marginalization of other groups. She was a eugenist. She was a proponent of pseudoscientific theory informed by racism, ableism, and a misunderstanding of genetics. That humanity can be improved through selective breeding.
That's insane.
So she expressed xenophobic, racist, and ableist views in many of her works. The Yellow Wallpaper being one of the few exceptions.
That is not the one I pick. I just wanted a short horror story that was like old and interesting, award-winning. I found it.
Well, this is the funny thing. Okay, so she died in 1935, and for like 40 years, her works totally fell into obscurity. Okay, it wasn't until there was that feminist like wave in the 70s, the 60s and 70s that they they uncovered it. Like, they rediscovered her writings. Mm-hmm. And it was the 60s and 70s. A lot of them just, like, either overlooked her questionable views or, like, maybe they just didn't know. Because, again, she kind of fell into obscurity after she died. It's just insane.
Yeah, no, mm-hmm. It threw me right off because a woman that could write a story like this and then is like, yeah, screw all those other people.
And it's the hard thing too, because it's like, well, I mean, just think of this story, okay? Even the main character is a rich woman. She's not like a poor woman, you know. She her husband, like, she's sick, right? She has the nerves or whatever. Yeah, so her husband's like,
disorder.
Yeah. He's like, let's move with all this money that we have and rent this big house, and so you can convalesce and, like, get better.
Yeah.
And that is not something that the average woman at that time would have been able to do, you know?
Yeah. And
she had a nanny to look after her baby.
Yeah.
Which, again, is not something the average woman would have. And who's to say that maybe that... I mean, again, it's not like... Obviously, rich women can experience postpartum depression. So can poor women. So can white women. So can black women. Like, it doesn't matter, right? But, fact of the matter is, she did have somebody taking care of the baby, and that very well could have saved the baby's life.
100%.
So, it's just like... That's where we're at.
Yeah. So, is it a horror story? Yes.
Yeah.
I do believe it is.
It is. It's horrific.
It is horrific. It is creepy. It's sad.
Oh, well,
There's a little bit more horror with the fact that she was insane herself and had no respect for other people, but yay.
Yeah, not a very nice lady that wrote that story. She had some good ideas about feminism, but that was about it. And, and even then, it was only white women that she cared about, so. But, you know, being a woman, I think this is the thing, is the reason why I think women are so good at writing horror is because literally from the time that you were born, someone is sexualizing you because of your gender.
I don't even know what to say to that.
And think about all the, like, okay, toddlers are like babies, okay? Think of a little baby girl. She smiles at a family friend at a barbecue. Oh, she's flirting with you. Shut the fuck up.
You know what I can't stand is, like, the two-piece bathing suits for babies and toddlers. Like, the really, like, I don't know why. I mean, a baby should be able to be naked and no one ever look at that child and think anything of it. It's a baby. It's
There's nothing sexual about a baby.
But when you see these dresses, these outfits, these bathing suits that are really like, you would see a much older woman wearing them to be risque and to be, look at me, if that's their choice. Or maybe not to look at me. Women should be able to dress any way they want. But I don't know. I just feel like we're trying to make our children sexy when they should just be freaking kids.
No, 100%.
There's nothing sexy about a child. It's a child. And if you think there is, well, we have a real problem with mental health there, and don't tell me because I will hunt you down. Smile on my face. Evil.
You deserve to be dead if you have sexual fantasies about children.
Yeah.
I don't care. Fuck you. I hope you die. Like, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just, there's something so inherently horrific about just being a woman in general, let alone a woman who isn't in a position of privilege because of the circumstances of her birth, i.e., rich, white, affluent, whatever. You know? So, I think that's why women are so good at horror. And why I get so exhausted with these horror movies where there's just an excess of violence committed against women. Mm-hmm. That was my biggest issue, actually, with the Terrifier movie. Because I know a lot of people really like that movie and they like the franchise.
I've never watched Terrifier.
So you don't need to. Maybe that's controversial. I don't know, but I'll give you a good excuse. Okay, so there's this scene where one of the ladies in the movie, because it's a group of women that get targeted. She gets kidnapped, and then he undresses her, so she's completely naked, and hangs her like upside down spread eagle, and saws her in half from her crotch.
Okay.
And it was a very upsetting scene, very graphic, awful. Like, her friend had to watch this happen to her, kind of thing. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm already uncomfortable. And this is the thing, is like, yes, horror makes you uncomfortable, etc. Okay, we all know why we like horror, and we know what we like in horror, and we know what to expect in horror. Okay, so but I was already a little bit uncomfortable about that. You know what I learned?
Oh boy,
the actress who played the woman where that happened to, she did not want to do that scene at all.
I hate that. I hate when they force actors or actresses to do something that they just are not comfortable with. I don't understand that. I don't think I ever will. I don't think that should be a given if you're taking a role.
No, you should be able to turn down anything if you're not comfortable with it. And this is the other thing, too, is there's a marked difference between movies that handle sexual violence against women directors versus male directors. Mm-hmm. Male directors are way more likely to show something happen on screen. Women directors are way more likely to allude to something happening. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's already horrifying enough living as a woman. I'm so tired of seeing rape and stuff. I'm so tired of it.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it on screen.
That's kind of why when we watched The House That Jack Built, that Keegan and I talked about last week, none of that was in there, and I even mentioned it. Nothing about what he did was sexual. Like,
kind of refreshing.
It kind of was. He was a serial killer, and it was not sexual. He was just doing it to kill.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was like, okay, which I understand. In the real world, a lot of serial killers do sexually assault their victims.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was nice to watch a movie where it was women dying, men too, but a lot of women dying, and it was never a sexual thing.
Yeah.
So it was just a very fucked up thing. You gotta watch it, dude. You gotta watch that movie. It is. It's very true. A lot of the things we watch are very sexually oriented and violent towards women.
And there's a reason for it. It's all this, like, and I hate to be like, oh, am I too woke? Like, I'm too woke for this. I'm not trying to be like that. But it's like, dude.
It's very hard being the gender that gets portrayed as the weak. And yes, while physically most of the time women are not as strong as men, it's really hard to be like, nah, we're just gonna show that constantly, that women are weak and women are going to be the ones that are slaughtered. And this world is hard enough to even look at if you're a woman. Anymore, it's hard to look at if you're anyone. Sorry.
Yeah.
Unless you're a... Never mind. Shut up. I'm not going to get political right now. But the fact is that, yes, everything... I love the movies where a woman is empowered. And I'm not. You know, I'm kind of like, I want to be a princess and I want to be taken care of. And that's just how I am.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to be the stronger one. I don't want to. But I think that women should be able to. And I don't think we should be portrayed as these meek things that are getting slaughtered and beat and killed and sexualized and blah. Blah.
This is all, and, you know, I mean, we're kind of talking about a wide variety of things.
Yeah, we're all over the place, but it's all right. We haven't been here in a while.
But the thing is, you know, that's... All of this that we're talking about is the reason why the final girl trope exists. Because women have been the fucking joke of all these movies for so long. And so it kind of became this subversive thing like, oh, actually, the woman is the only one who survives at the end. And it's meant to be like a good thing, but also I feel like it's just... It's just another way of being shitty.
Yeah. There was a line in that movie that Keegan and I watched too that Keegan was upset about. And at one point, the guy that Jack is talking to says, you surround yourself with stupid women. Which Keegan was like, that kind of bothered me. And I get it. But these women were kind of stupid. You got to watch the movie to understand.
Call a spade a spade. No,
it really was. I was like, what is happening right now? Why would you do this? But the thing is that, yeah, a lot of times women are portrayed just as stupid, and we're not, and we can be made to feel very stupid. And I'm not a man hater. I don't want that we're bashing men. We don't. Sydney and I, we love most people most of the time, except at work or outside of work.
Listen, customer service, nobody counts as real people in customer service.
And we are not men bashers. Don't look me at... No, we are not. We appreciate a good man. We appreciate good men in our lives. We have good men in our lives. Mm-hmm. Sydney has brothers that are great brothers. I have a brother that's a pretty good brother. Don't tell him I said that, though. I have my sons. You know, I have uncles. People in my life that are good men.
Yeah, I have friends too that are good men. You know, it's not like they don't exist.
Exactly. So I don't want it to come off as, but it is very frustrating being a woman. It's very frustrating that you have to think ahead of, and not so much for me because I'm old now. No one's gonna come and try to steal me, but the younger generation, my kids' age, Sydney's age, where you have to plan ahead. I probably shouldn't go to this gas station alone. I should probably have mace or pepper spray. I should have a weapon with me of some sort. You think about, I'm walking out of a building, I'm going to put my keys between my fingers so it's a weapon if I have to punch someone. And I've thought about that when I worked downstate when I was young too. But do men think like that? Do you, when you walk out of a place? I just want to know, do young men think? You know, young straight men. I know that a lot our LGBTQ, they always have to be scared too, which is bullshit.
It's a lot of hypervigilance going on, you know.
In this world right now, for sure. And it's always been that way, unfortunately, because we're a hateful, hateful, hateful bunch of humanoids on this earth.
Well, it's you know, it's one of those things like you ask men, like the average white man, when you go on a date with a girl, what is the biggest fear? Like, say it's a blind spot. What's your biggest fear going on a date? And they're like, oh, that I got catfished. You ask the women that same question, and they go, that I don't go home. That I get murdered. That I get raped.
That's terrifying. Yep.
So.
Now, I know my boyfriend, he always has a weapon on him. So, yeah, it's unfortunate that women are to be thought of as stupid and weak and just...
And I also think, and this is the other thing too, is I also think that it's really annoying to have these tropes where it's like, there's a final girl, but she's not feminine at all.
Yeah.
She's like a tomboy, or she's not like other girls. She's not boy crazy, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Yeah. Fuck you. Exactly. You can be girly, and you can be ditzy, and you can be all these things. Like, that's not the fucking woke point that you're trying to make. You know, it's not, it just...
I just wish we had a kinder world, a kinder, softer landing place for everybody, where a woman can be strong and still be a woman.
Yeah.
Can be the most feminine, gorgeous, soft-hearted person, yet she can be respected and feared because she's strong and she's tough and she could take your ass out.
It's one of my, still to this day, like one of my favorite like comedy movies is Legally Blonde.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's great. Like, she's so subversive, and I love that. And, you know, that's just...
You know, the thing, I got my friend, Dawn, she lives in Vegas, and when we were in high school, you know, you do the, like, mock elections.
Yeah.
And they voted her... Sorry, Dawn. They voted her most likely to be a flight attendant that never left the ground. Because she was that ditzy, okay?
What the fuck?
My family called her Ditzy Dawn.
Oh.
She just was that way. But that girl is now a master's degree in social work and counseling. Yeah. She went through a horrible drug addiction. She ended up in a very bad, abusive relationship. And now she is an advocate for women to get help and to get clean and to get away from the abusive situations they're in. And so, yeah, a woman can be ditzy, but she can be tough as frickin' nails and make a beautiful life for herself. And that's just a shout out to her. And yes, she was ditzy, but she still is a little ditzy, but she's my girl, and I'm more proud of her than ever. And that just shows she went through hell and back and put herself through school and has a great family and beautiful kids and a great husband, and they're rocking this world. And so, yeah. A woman can be ditzy and still be a freaking badass.
Well, and that's the other thing, too, is, like, everything that we, like, all the rights that women have right now is not because they were given to us. It's because we fought for them.
And we're going to have to again.
Well,
but that's another story.
We're not talking about that right now. That's the thing, is, like, it's, you can't enjoy... I mean, I don't want to say that. I guess art is inherently political, no matter what medium it comes in. This story, The Yellow Wallpaper, is a very political story. It made a huge difference in the politics of feminism. Horror is super political. It always has been. And if you are a person who's like, why is everything political? It always has been. Shut up.
100%.
Okay, you don't have to look at it from that viewpoint, but you can't deny that it is political. Okay?
Yeah, for sure.
You can be like, oh, well, that's not why I watch it. Fine. That's fine. Okay? But that doesn't mean it's not political. I'm sorry.
Very, very true.
So, have you guys read The Yellow Wallpaper? What did you think? Did you know that the author was a horrible piece of shit eugenist?
Have you ever even heard of The Yellow Wallpaper? Because we hadn't until I looked it up and then found out she was a horrible human.
The more you know.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us. Today the pod, tomorrow the world. My name is Sydney Rebecca.
And I'm Rebecca Snow.
And we're the Becks.